Good morning, Facebook people watching on the internet. This is Blind Justice on the streets of Aberdeen, Washington. Day 7 of our peaceful protests that we've called Resting is Not a Crime. We're sitting out front of City Hall here again. We're on Market Street, at the corner of Market and I. And everybody's welcome to come down and join us. We'll be here for a little bit, and then we'll move into downtown in different places. Good morning. So just to talk about some of the signs that we have, because I know there's been some questions and people think they know what they mean or think they know what the message is, and so I'll just address some of the signs that we have. And this one, what's this one say, Lily?
Poverty is not a crime.
So this one says poverty is not a crime. All right. So we'll talk about that for a minute. So the word poverty was chosen instead of the word homeless because poverty has a broader definition, has a broader scope, right? So the word poverty is also synonymous with the word scarcity, right? It can mean the state of being poor or impoverished, right? Or scarcity means lack, lacking. So there's been lots of comments and people thinking that we're talking specifically about homeless, and that's not the case. We're talking about poverty. We're talking about scarcity. Right? We're talking about lack. And how does that apply to what we're protesting, the ordinances that we're protesting? Well, the solicitation ordinance, we have video recording, audio recording of the city's legal counsel in the city council meeting when she tallied the vote. She said that the panhandling, the solicitation, so she did a slip of the tongue, right? But also we have the same recording or similar recording of Tawny, the city council president, saying the panhandling, the solicitation, right? So clearly the intent is panhandling, like panhandling laws that have been overturned for being unconstitutional. So just changing the verbiage to solicitation when you're clearly targeting, in the wording, people asking for money, which is why the areas that they're outlawing are near, ATMs and things where people get money. So who asks for money? Who solicits or panhandles, or who makes a request for money on the street? People who typically don't have, people who are lacking in money, people who are impoverished, people who have scarcity, right? Whether it be in money or whether it be food. So it's thousands of years old tradition of monks, nuns, clergy, spiritual people, all over the world of different backgrounds, living in poverty, living in scarcity, and going out with their bowls or with their hands and asking for alms, asking for food, asking for resources from people to sustain them, right? So we're talking about scarcity. We're talking about the state of being poor. So that's one way. So we're addressing the solicitation ordinance because it clearly targets people who are impoverished. Because people are asking for money for food, for shelter. They can use for food or shelter, or sustain their lives, right? Sustenance. So that's the one ordinance. The other one, the sitting and lying on the sidewalks. How does poverty apply to that? Well, it applies because some of the people that we've encountered this past week on the streets don't have permanent shelter, don't have permanent lodging, right? And so that's a lack of a basic human need, right? Some of them are hungry and don't have food. That's a lack of a basic human need. Some of them have apartments, like the Gray's apartments, one block over. That is a one-room apartment, like a whole bunch of one-room apartments with no bathroom. The bathroom is on the floor. It's a communal bathroom that's shared at the end of the hall. So that's scarcity, right? You don't have your own place to use the facilities. So So even the people that are in those apartments, some of whom have come out and helped us protest, they are in a one-room apartment with little or no furniture, right, by themselves. So people are yelling for them to get off the sidewalk, and if they were to go and sit in their apartment all day, they'd be likely sitting on the floor like they're sitting outside, but alone, isolated. And that's already in a place that's run down, a place that's beat down, and a place not exposed to other people and to nature and the sun. So just coming outside, people do it all the time. Go for walks, regardless of your status. Go for walks to get out of nature, to get refreshed, to get restored, right? To have the sunlight rejuvenate and enlighten, and to breathe in the energy in the air and the prana, and just communicate and commune with nature and other people, right? The right to assemble. So while sitting on the sidewalk, they engage with other people. They connect with the community. They look out for the community. Several of the people that I'm talking about were the people that responded when the dog fell out of the car the other day. They were the first ones to run up and try to help this dog, right? So it's a community aspect we're talking about here, where they don't necessarily, they're impoverished, don't necessarily have financial riches, right, to be able to buy seating and things like that. So they sit where they can. They sit where they can communicate and commune with people, where they're accepted. Then there's other areas of impoverishment. Good morning. And it doesn't have to be financial. It doesn't have to be physical resources. It can be scarcity or poor of spirit, right? You can be poor, have poor mental health. You can have poor physical health, right? You can have poor education, a poor understanding, right? So poverty is a far-reaching concept, and that's all of it, and it covers all of these things that we're talking about. If people had better health, better health care, better education and understanding, and a lot of the people that are impoverished and have poor health and poor education is because of traumas, things that are beyond their was out of their hands, beyond their responsibility, where they were abused at a young age, whether it be physical or sexual or chemical, right? So different things that come in. So when a trauma hits, that stays in it sits in the person, in their body and in the psyche, until there's a healing and a restoration. And if that restoration doesn't happen, if it's just sitting there, then it lingers, and it stunts the development of the person. Same thing with chemical abuse. Chemical abuse will also stunt the development, mental development, and social development of people. So that's something that people may not be aware of. So hopefully this can inform people and help people broaden people's understanding of the level of poverty, level of impoverishment and scarcity that some people have, right? And so if that's the case for a lot of people, I'm not saying it's the case for everybody on the street, but if it's the case for a lot, then we don't know exactly until you get to sit down and talk with a person at what level that they are operating from, right? They could be operating from a lady that we've been hanging out with who got run over by a car when she was 5, right? Like her head was run over. And so that at some levels she's operating at a 5-year-old level, right? So it stunts the growth. So there's poverty is a wide reaching issue, wide topic, and that's why we've chosen that word for this sign. So but over the other side says resting is not a crime. And some people have been upset about that because of they say, well, it's not what the intent is, or it's not what the ordinance, the sit-lie ordinance is about. But the way that it's worded, if you want to go for a walk in this town and you get tired and you want to sit down, there doesn't happen to be a bench nearby you, then if you want to sit and rest for a few minutes, because you're poor in cardiovascular your cardio endurance is poor, then you can't, right? If your muscular endurance is a little poor, then you can't sit and rest in the downtown area if there's no bench near you, right? And there's only a handful of benches scattered throughout the downtown area. Not every block has a bench. So if you're an older individual and you walk to the grocery store at Safeway just downtown here from your house, and then you set out to walk back and you're like, oh man, I'm getting a little tired, and you want to sit down, well, that's illegal. It will become illegal if Eric signs it for you to sit down and rest, right? Same thing with somebody passing through on a bicycle. If they've been biking 100 miles, or if they bike the 50 miles from Olympia, right, then they want to sit down and rest on the sidewalk and drink some water or whatever. Like, it's illegal for them to sit and rest, the way that the ordinance is worded. The exemption is medical emergency. So I don't think anybody would make the argument that resting is a medical emergency, even though I think it's a super important aspect of life that gets dismissed a lot. And I think humans can deserve to rest way more. I think we're human beings, not human doings, for a reason, that we need to just be able to be at rest, right? To be able to recover and make informed and rational and calm and peaceful decisions. All right, so what other signs do we have, Lily? Show us another sign.
Freedom to sit.
Okay, so freedom to sit is, I would say, self-evident, right? We hold these truths to be self-evident, unalienable rights, the freedom to sit. So that clearly, folks, what are you doing on the camera? That clearly is talking about the sit-lie ordinance, right? So your freedom to sit, it's your freedom of movement, which is the Fourth Amendment. The First Amendment, you have the freedom of speech, which the Supreme Court has ruled multiple times on functions that people do with their body, actions they take with their body, that falls under the freedom of speech, like using your middle finger has been ruled several times, burning the American flag, just to cite a few of the actions one can take with their body that has been ruled as an expression of free speech by the Supreme Court, right? So sitting is something you do with your body, following that same line of logic. It's an expression of speech. Just by taking a seat, you are making a statement. You are saying something. So you're free to do that just from free speech. But you're also free to assemble. You're free to sit down with a group of people downtown if you want. It's public area. Private property is a different matter, and that's where people are conflating the issue a lot of times, because they say, well, they're sitting on private property or blocking access to businesses. Well, show us the money, right? Show us the evidence. Where's the proof of that? Does anybody have any pictures or video where they have people sitting and lying blocking businesses? I've heard anecdotal stories, right, about that happening, but we haven't seen any proof of it. Anytime that we've been down walking through town, and we're downtown walking all the time, we haven't found that to be the case. We found people sitting and lying in abandoned buildings, in front of abandoned buildings on public property, right? Not in front of active businesses. So the other side of that sign says freedom to lie down, and we've had some people misunderstand that. What's that?
We have a big
Comment?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. We'll get to the comment in a second. We had a sign that said freedom to lie down, and people misunderstood that, because of the word lie, L-I-E, and they think of telling a falsehood. And they're like, well, it should say freedom to lay down, L-A-Y. And actually that verb is different, right? If you want to lay something down, it's like an object that you can lay down. But if you want to lay your person down, then it's the word lie, which is the same word used in the ordinance. So that's specifically, again, about the sit-lie ordinance. And you have the same freedom to lie like you have the same freedom to sit, like you have the same freedom to use your middle finger, and so forth, right? You have the freedom to use your body as long as you're not harming another person. And sitting and lying down in a public space, when you're not blocking traffic, because that's one of the other comments, is that people they're blocking the movement of the sidewalk, and we've never had that be the case. So I'm blind, I have my cane, and I take a good, berth left and right of me when I walk, a good couple of feet on either side of me. And I've never had the case where I can't traverse the sidewalks downtown because of too many people sitting and lying blocking the way. And I even walk with my family, and sometimes we have a baby in a stroller next to me, and we were able to walk two abreast with a stroller and a cane. So just that statement that it's not passable isn't true, isn't factual. So then we have another sign behind me that says freedom for all, right? So we're talking about freedom for all, same freedoms that I have, every person has, right? And the same freedom that you have, the impoverished have. The same people, or same freedoms that that officials have, the people that think they can tell people what to do. Every person on the planet has, right? Freedom for all. It's self-evident, endowed by the Creator, right? Freedom. So then the other side of the sign says peace and love to all. And so this is a peaceful protest, and we have been trying to spread nothing but peace and love and information to help people have a better understanding, or a more full understanding of what's going on. And we want to do so with peace and love, with respect and dignity to everybody. So, okay, we can go ahead and go to a comment relief. We've got a comment.
Okay, we have from Becca Rice is a thumbs up. From Amber Lacefield is a wave. From Liza, I think, Camden Brock says a sidewalk, in addition to a way of travel, is often a social setting. Proof of this is the Sidewalk Cafe, etc., which are no doubt exempt from this law. This law is blasphemous.
Right, that's a great point. So the sidewalk cafes, right? So I talked about this with somebody the other day. There are several downtown businesses that have sidewalk cafes, and it's in the Aberdeen Municipal Code here that they get permits, right? So they essentially pay the city to have chairs out and have a fenced off area or whatever, that they're using the public sidewalk for their business. So it doesn't necessarily extend their business. I don't know, that's maybe a legal discussion. It may extend to reach the business, but it's a use of the public sidewalk that they're paying for. So you can kind of look at that as they're already paying the fine up front, right? They're already paying tickets, the ticket fine to the city for people sitting on the sidewalk, and by sitting on their chairs or sitting at their tables to eat or drink or whatever at the cafes on the sidewalks. So yes, it's public use, but the businesses are already paying willfully the permit use to be able to block the sidewalk. And that's interesting as well about that, is that the only real narrowed out spaces in the downtown walkable district, in the downtown business area, is at these sidewalk cafes. So anytime my family and I, when we normally would walk two abreast, where we have to narrow down and go ducks in a row, is at these sidewalk cafes. We have another comment online?
Yes.
Okay, what does it say? Hey, good morning.
Well, I thought I'd sit down and join you on
All
the
right.
sidewalk.
We're doing a video right now, so give us a
you
minute.
are?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No.
Yeah, what now?
You want to be on the video or no? You can say hi if you want, or
I'd like to say hi. This
Okay.
is Bob Ford, and I'm sitting on the sidewalk with two very fine people who I respect very much.
thank you, Mr. Ford.
Okay, Bob.
Yeah. All right, Bob.
Okay. Anyway, you have a great day.
I appreciate you, sir. Thank you.
Okay, if I can get up off this sidewalk.
All right.
It gets harder when you're 84.
I bet, but
Okay. Have a great day.
thank you, sir. You too. Another comment?
A lot more.
Good morning.
Good morning. Ruth. How are you?
Doing well. Ruth Detwiller. Okay.
Most of the places are empty businesses that have moved
Yeah.
or gone
All
out
the
of business.
difference between us and those people down there is our paycheck. Any of us could go down at any minute if that paycheck takes going.
Yeah, we're all human, right? We're all brothers and sisters on this planet.
You don't know where you would be if all your money was taken.
Yeah. Thank you. Have a great day.
You do.
All right, sorry. What was the comment from Ruth?
Most of the places are empty businesses that have moved or gone out of business. I have not seen anyone lying down or blocking an entrance to an active business.
Yeah, that's the same comment that we've had, the same observation as well. Thank you.
From Sean Glender, I miss you guys so much. Love y'all.
Hey, Sean. Love you, buddy.
And then the same guy with the Liza, I think.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. Bolted fences or cafes is against the ADA.
Yeah, I don't know about. I haven't looked into that, but yeah, we talked about the cafes. So what else we got?
Amber Lacefield, thank you for doing this.
Yeah, welcome.
Hania Lanning. So is sitting or laying on a downtown Aberdeen bench, is that
Exempt? Okay, yeah, so the benches are in the exemption of the sit-lie ordinance. So yes, benches are. So you can sit and lie down, I think for an indefinite time without anyone trying to harass you. Potentially, even though we've had reports of people, I haven't personally witnessed this, but I've had reports of people that have come in and told me while we've been out here this past week that they have been approached by the cops for sitting on a bench downtown and then asked to move. So even though it is in the exemption, the whole move along Johnny has been an issue for decades in this country. Yeah. Any other comments, or is that it?
Nope.
That's it? All right. So we're caught up. Thanks for engaging. And I have my assistant here with eyeballs to be able to dialogue with you guys live on comments. So hopefully, we can do this some more. But hopefully I've covered the signs. And if you have further questions about the signs or would like to dialogue about it, you can post on the page or feel free to come out and have a chat.
Amber Lacefield again says something good. It seems like a police should have better things to do than harass people who are sitting on sidewalks or benches.
Yeah, hopefully, right? Hopefully they can find other ways of keeping peace, right? And so that's something that I've asked several of my friends who are in law enforcement if they consider themselves law enforcement officers or peace officer. And interestingly, they pause at that question because they don't necessarily see them as being in conflict with one another. But peace and force, or bringing force into, which is what enforcement means, bringing force into situations, are opposite, right? You don't need to use force to accomplish goals. You can do so peacefully, which is what we're trying to do out here. So yeah, police sometimes confuse the two, and so hopefully we can help with getting back to peacekeeping instead of using force to accomplish goals. All right, everybody, love you, and we have another.
Benches downtown, says Ashley.
Yes, there are a few benches. They're scattered. Maybe we can do a video where we walk around and try to find some. The other benches that aren't just benches are some of the bus stops have benches, and that's also an exemption. Is the bus stop itself, and then if you're sitting next to a bus stop, I think is how it's worded. So you can sit on the sidewalk next to a bus stop and still be exempt. If there's, for whatever reason, you want to sit on the sidewalk, or if there's not enough room on the bench or in the shelter of the bus stop. Okay, so wellness to you, ease to you, and may you have peace today, and love and joy and fulfillment in your day, no matter who you are, whether you hear this or not. So we're sending that out into the city, and we will keep you updated. All right, everybody. Yo presto liber.